Right, as you can see, I have got them back on. The carburetor here still seems to have a very, very small seepage. What I'm gonna do is put everything back together and see if the baby will run. This seepage may not be worth worrying about. It's probably been 2 or 3 hours now, and it's just dribbled. So let me pull this off, get the piston out. So looking down in here, you can see, yes, it's still wet. It's still coming through, even though I have adjusted, for want of a better word, the float level. It's not a great flooding. So my thought, and this could be totally wrong, my thought is that let's get this baby running, and if I find that this front carburetor is flooding and causing a problem, then I'll attack it again. I know if you look at that you think, ooh, that's a lot of fuel. It's probably not if the engine is running. And bearing in mind that this is the first carburetor in line of the pump. And this piece of shit regulator. Still not happy about that. We'll see. But everything else with the problems I had with leakage on the starter carburetor and the main front carburetor here, that's not a problem now. It seems to be okay. We're not getting leaks from the float bowls. They're both looking okay. A little damp there, so that, you know, there's just going to be a crank up on that one nut over there. No big deal. It just needs a little more pinching. But the starter carburetor here is sealing perfectly, and I have no issues there whatsoever. Not happy about that wire there. I'm going to move that out of the way. I don't like wires near fuel. It ain't right. If, after all of that fun, it doesn't work, it doesn't run, then I'm going to have to delve deep to find out why this fucking carburetor does not want to stop seeping. The float's set, everything's perfect. I even tried giving it a little more leeway, shall we say, so that it cuts off earlier. But, if that fuel pump at the rear and this piece of shit regulator cannot bring it down to approximately, let's say, 3 psi, that's where I want to see it. I tried my fuel pressure gauge and I couldn't get a reading. It said 0, which ain't right, because there is no way this firkin thing's giving 0. So assuming that the regulator's working, which I don't know, I could be backpedaling here. Unfortunately, whatever the previous person did to the fuel pumps was not correct. You don't put a fuel pump in that bangs out more pressure than the system is designed for and then put a fuel pressure regulator on it. My personal preference will be to dump the fuel pressure regulator, to dump the two pumps and replace them with what Sir William said it needed. That is not going to be a cheap option. Labour wise, yeah, not a lot. It's reasonable in my book. Price of pumps, don't know, because you've got to buy two of them. Get rid of the regulator and buy some rubber hose. Well, rubber hose, no big deal. Few bucks. Labour, not terrible. We'll see. Let me put it all back together and then let's see if it will start. And if it does, terrific. But if I get a rich mixture that's not correct, too much fuel, then I am going to have to tell the customer, I'm sorry, we need to do this, we need to do that. I don't believe he would have a problem with it, but if he does, then I'm just going to have to say, great, terrific, there you go, buddy, there's your car, take it away. If you won't listen to my advice, then go listen to somebody else, because I am giving you the best advice I can. All right, back on the S-Type stuff. Just a couple of small updates. I think I'd previously mentioned it in a video that the rear motor mount is missing on this particular vehicle. And I'm fiddling around there trying to figure out what parts are missing. And then my brain cell actually engaged. They've changed the transmission on this. Where does the rear motor mount hang on to? The bell housing. They've changed the bell housing. So I'm assuming, and hopefully I'll find this out when I get underneath, that whatever they've put in place is strongly supported because it's now supporting the back weight of the engine. I want to say it's supporting it on the shaft, and I hope not. I hope it's supporting it on the bell housing, which I'm pretty sure it would be. Next, the fluid reservoir here, because it's bigger, it has to go down further. Therefore, I can't make a quick turn to this pipe. Now, I could shorten this pipe, but I don't want to. I'm going to leave it at its length. And this is the pipe here. And basically, I'm feeding it... oh, God, I hate using that word. Sorry. The pipe I'm feeding around underneath the pump so that it comes up at a better angle and isn't in a sharp bend. And I'll make it as generous as I can without getting near anything hot. So, therefore, it should work out pretty good. What else was there? There was something else I was going to... Oh, yes. The wires. Again, the wires. Yeah, isn't that good, huh? It just broke off. So, it looks like they were soldered, or as I would say, soldered. So I'm going to get a couple of decent connectors, and I'm going to sod them. Sod them, bugger them, whatever I have to do to make the fucking things work. I think I should really try and keep them down to these like little metal ones that are here, purely because it's got to hide in here and connect in a, hang on, let me show you, a very narrow space there. So, and I also want to make sure we get a nice, good connection. So my next task now will be to replace these two ends. I'll have to get me soldering iron out and sod all over it, and hope I make a decent sodding job of it. Okay guys, that's it. Oh, and I do have to tighten this screw up. I've not done that. And then we'll be back on the other side. Oh, we've still got to do the fuel pressure test, haven't we? Yes. I'm sorry about that noise. At least it's not a cell phone, but let me show you what it is. That's what it is. Isn't it, Mr. Finley? Yes. You're beautiful. He likes to be out here with me, but because I have the garage door open, he can't come out. No, I'm sorry, buddy. You've got to stay there. All right, guys, that's a total digression. Just shows you. Okay, just another short little piece to add. As you can see, I've replaced these connections here. When you're doing these type of crimp connections, not the prettiest, I grant you, but don't just strip the wire and then push it in the crimp connector and then squeeze it. What happens when you do that is the wire is flat, and as you crimp it, it crimps it flat and it'll just pull straight out. Whereas if you roll it up, it crimps it and it will not come out. Just a little something I've discovered over the years of doing this. And whilst I use this as a stripper, I always prefer to use these to cut it. I just find this a lot easier than trying to cut it in this cutter here, which is, well, actually it's not in very good shape anyway, because I've had this tool since I was about 18, and I ain't no fucking spring chicken these days. I mean, it tells you how old it is. It's got 2BA, 4BA, 6BA. So what I do as well, and it depends on the tool you've got, I always try and use the smallest crimping part, purely because I get a nice good bite on it. And that's just something that I personally do. Okay, and then, you know, making sure you've got it on there good and tight. And this will then hopefully snug up, making sure that you allow enough room for the pin in there for the float. And there she is. I mean, someone's taped this up before. Please understand that is not me. I don't do work like that. All right, next thing I'm going to move on to is doing something that I keep promising to do, and that is the pressure test on the fuel. So I've got to get set up for that, and I'll put it in on this video with the other parts. Sorry about the noise, it's trash day. It's the dustbin man. I love it. They come and collect it right from your door. Terrific. All right, that's it. Back in a second with the pressure test. I'm half human. Okay, so this is the kit I'm going to use. Number is 27167. This is the fuel pressure test kit. The main component is this one here, which contains the gauge, a bleed-off pipe, and the main connection. Now in here I do have a number of pieces of hose and some clips, and the piece that I'm going to be using without that bung on it, hang on, I'm trying to get that furker off. Who put that on there? It was me. And the only reason I want to get it off is to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that line to this screw, and I'll put this between the carburetors and the fuel regulator that somebody put in. Then I'll be able to tell what the pressure is. This you would be using if you wanted to check the voltage on the pump, etc. So that's just an extra piece that is in this particular kit. So let's get to it. Right, so now I'm going to get this pressure test finally done. You can see down here I have interfered with the line from this pressure regulator and then through to the carburetors. Now what I will be doing, give me 1 second, sorry, I'm going to knock you about a bit here. is I'll be attaching. I'm going to be attaching this. We attaching this to that valve, and then I'm going to turn on the pump and see what pressure I have. Now I've turned the regulator way down, virtually to zero. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to have to move the camera, so you're just going to have to be patient because I need to get in there and the camera's right in the fucking way at the moment. So, right, the gauge is now set to zero. Push the button, pressure released. Let me put the ignition on and let's see what happens. Right, we're showing zero pressure at the moment, so let me adjust this regulator and see what happens. Now do note that my gauge starts, what is it at? 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah, my gauge starts at 4 psi. So as I push this in and turn it, hopefully we'll see this. Oh, there, we're getting some movement. So we've now got about 5 psi. That's 6 psi. I'm keeping turning. I just want to see where we go. There's 8 psi. We get to, let's say 9 psi. So let me bring it back down. I'm going to bring it back down. And I'm going to take it, let's see, that is 8, that is 6. I'm going to bring it back down to about 4. That would be 5, wouldn't it? Oh, damn. Now I'm right on minimum now, and it won't go any further down. Damn it. All right, so what's position 1? Position 1 looks like it's about 5 psi. Let me see. I've got to get that to go back up. This regulator does not work very well. There's no two ways about that. Now I'm wound up full, and it's only just starting to move again. Oh dear, this is not a very good regulator. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that back to 0, release the pressure, now bring it back up until I get about 4, maybe 5. Okay, she's just started to move. There. Okay, I think I'm probably hanging around 5 psi. I don't think that will be too much for me to get this car running. It certainly should be enough. I need to get a new set of teeth. These ones ain't working properly. All right, I'm still getting fuel coming out of that bottom jet, and that pisses me off because it should not be coming out. I'm going to have to take that float chamber out one more time just to make sure there isn't something untoward in there that I haven't seen, and maybe adjust it a little tighter. I want to see how full my float bowl is. Alright, that's where we finish on this particular video. I'm not going to keep showing you the same shit over and over because that's just fucking pointless. So hopefully the next video you will see of me, or at least this car, will be me attempting to start it, because I want to now try and see if I can figure out what the hell's going on with these float bowls. In fact, I'm going to do one simple test. I'm going to swap the float bowl tops around and see if the leak moves, and if it does, then I know where my problem is, and maybe I need to get a new float bowl top. Oh boy, isn't this fun. Actually it is. I'm enjoying this. I'll enjoy it even more when I've fixed it. Okay boys, girls, love you all. Thank you for subscribing. Really do appreciate it, as I always say. And do like, comment, subscribe, ding the dong, and then you'll get more shit that I do when I do it. I do shit. Now your turn is to get out in that garage and do some shit. Good night.